Hello everybody, it's Sunday, September 28th. So anyways, this is Trump's 10th month after inauguration and becoming president of this wonderful country that is slowly eroding. So much has happened. I have not posted anything in several months. And the reason being is because there are plenty of channels out there on YouTube that could better explain and have been keeping up with politics, issues, and chaos that's going on in our country, guys. It's pathetic. One of the biggest things that I see that is very painful is everything. This party of chaos has destroyed our country, and still, half the country is in agreement with Donald Trump. The worst person, the worst human being in this entire planet. Right from get-go, Donald Trump was chaotic, is a liar, a deceiver. We all know that MAGA Republicans, the ones that have half a brain, are in remorse. Not because Charlie Kirk was killed, but because Donald Trump lied to them. He lied to them. Did you guys watch the speech to United Nations in New York by Donald Trump? This guy is demented. He is such a hater. Can you tell me one good thing that Donald Trump spoke of or mentioned? Zero, nada, nothing. Nothing at all was good. How do you think other countries view us right about now? He spoke negative of every country except for China, North Korea, and Russia. And that makes me wonder, when President Putin came to Alaska to meet with Donald Trump, what was the conversation? No one knows. No one knows what the conversation was about. No one knows of any discussion that they had behind closed doors. But if you ask me, this is what I think. It's my opinion, coming from my mind and my heart. I think the reason why President Putin came to the United States was to set precedents. What does that mean? It simply means he wanted to make an impression, and he probably wants Americans to get accustomed with him coming to our country. Will we get accustomed? Will it become a norm of him flying to our country? And then eventually coming to the White House? This house should not be called the White House. It's not the same White House that all our previous presidents sat and ran this country with some common sense. So let me roll back the time a little bit. But before I continue, I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers and to those people just visiting this channel for the first time. I have a few things to cover, but I'll try to arrange it where it makes some sense because I don't have a script to follow. It's simply my mind setting and frustration that millions and millions of people are scratching their ass about and they just can't figure it out. I'll be right back with more. Let's first start with Charlie Kirk. I am devastated of what I saw on a video when Charlie Kirk was murdered. And just the thought of it is unsettling. As much as I did not like him, as much as I did not agree with him, to me he was a racist, a separatist. And he wasn't contributing nothing to young people or this country. He was in this all for himself. All for himself. Okay? Donald Trump didn't even care about him. That's the illusion that MAGA is trying to paint. Okay? Even after all I just described to you about Charlie Kirk, I don't think what happened to him was right. It was wrong. Everybody has a right to their opinion, no matter how society looks at it. Everybody has a right to their opinion, just like Martin Luther King did. They both got killed, but I'm not comparing the two. One was evil, calculating, disgusting, and a liar, and was not a good speaker. He didn't champion anything, and still, he did not deserve to get killed in front of all those college students that had to witness this, that's going to traumatize them for the rest of their lives. As horrific as it was, I don't think Charlie Kirk deserves to have statues with him sitting on a table that is perceived to having a debate with students, college students. I don't think he deserves to be on any paper money like they're discussing. Why would you want to put Charlie Kirk on American dollar bill? That is stupid. That is stupid. Are they trying to compare him with our past presidents? Are you kidding me? He was a podcaster. He started this nonprofit organization for youth to brainwash young college students. That's my opinion. He wasn't contributing to anything. He was tearing down. He was putting down African Americans. He was putting down brown people. He was putting down the LGBT, the country's minorities. How can you tell our country that African American citizens of the United States were not qualified to do the jobs that they had, or even to do jobs of other white people? To me, what was happening was about white supremacy, was about white men always being on top. He wasn't even supporting white women because in his belief system, according to his Christian belief, was that women had to be controlled by their husbands or by men. They didn't even have the right to say what happens with their body. How pathetic. That's not the country that I want to live in. Is that the country that you want to live in? Not me. Not me. Not me. So anyways, I'm going to tell you something. When Charlie Kirk was murdered, the fingers started running everywhere. It was pointing here, pointing there. And then when it was finally known that a white man, a MAGA person from a right-wing Republican MAGA family was involved in the killing of Charlie Kirk. Do I believe that? Fuck no. I don't believe one bit of that. Not the America that I grew up in. Okay? I'm a U.S. citizen. Okay? I am a U.S. citizen. Okay? And if you ask me who killed Charlie Kirk, it was the Israeli secret ops, because of reasons that he was tied with the Israeli country. Yep. And this gentleman that they said climbed on the roof about 200 yards away was the murderer. I'm not going to get too deep into that, but we already know the cover-up that's going on. So I'm going to cut it very short. He was killed because of MAGA Republicans and Donald Trump. It's that simple. It's that simple. What was created was more than an abstraction. Okay? It was totally political. It had nothing to do with trans people. It had nothing to do with liberals. Had nothing to do with liberals, but it had everything to do with an abstraction to get away from the Epstein files, and also because Charlie Kirk had a disagreement with the Israeli administration because he didn't want to support Israeli. Okay? If you ask me, Charlie Kirk had empathy for the victims of Israel. You know, Hamas. And the other side that they're killing, the Palestinians. Okay? That's why he was murdered. He was silenced. He was also silenced because Trump is a jealous person, a man with no common sense, a man who lacks communication skills, okay? A man who has no respect for people that are different than him, Donald Trump has a history of corruption. The first day he started working with his father as a partner, okay? He wasn't a real estate developer. He didn't build anything. The Trump Tower in New York, he got the biggest tax exemption and loan and cooperation from the mafia to build that tower that he cannot even maintain. Why do I say that? How many fires has the Trump Tower suffered? How many lives have died of those renters who lived at the Trump Tower? A few. Because the code that building needs was not maintained, was not up to date. So he's had several fires in those buildings and the lawsuits. This you will not hear from any place, but you're going to hear that from me. Trump is so corrupt, so embroiled and tied with the Epstein files and Epstein, his best friend, that he even betrayed in the early 2000s when Epstein went to him for a favor, for advice in a real estate transaction. You see, Jeffrey Epstein found a property in West Palm Beach that was selling for $40 million. He was interested in buying this property, but he wanted more advice and information how he can go about this. He thought it was smart to go ask Donald Trump, his best friend. When he showed Donald Trump this property, Donald Trump saw an opportunity for himself, like he always does. It's all about him. It's how he's going to benefit from this. So what did he do? When he agreed to help Jeffrey Epstein with this transactional real estate property purchase, behind his back, Donald, who didn't have $40 million at the time, got in touch with the Russian oligarchs, Russian billionaires, which fronted him the money, and he purchased the home that Jeffrey Epstein wanted to buy. When Jeffrey Epstein found out, he was angry. Okay? He was angry. And he threatened Donald Trump that what he did was wrong. Because essentially Donald Trump went behind his back because he saw an opportunity for himself of making money on it, that he essentially stole it from Jeffrey Epstein. So to make a story short, after getting the $40 million from the Russian mob or the Russian oligarchs, he purchased the house and then he resold it for about $100 million. So he made money for himself and he made money for the Russian oligarchs. So there's one thing I want to say before I really check off, is this. When Jeffrey Epstein threatened to rat on Donald Trump that he was involved in sex trafficking and having sex with minors, Trump panicked. He panicked. So what did he do? He became a whistleblower to the FBI, okay, that Jeffrey Epstein was having sex with minors. And in about 2004 or 2005, when I was living in West Palm Beach, about a mile from Mar-a-Lago, they seized Jeffrey Epstein's property and they arrested him. And Jeffrey Epstein settled out of court, only to go back again and start abusing young girls with Donald Trump. When he got re-indicted, he went to jail. Donald Trump, again, was involved with him going back to jail because he was afraid that his political career would be in jeopardy. So Jeffrey Epstein was found guilty, okay, and he went back to jail, okay? But Donald Trump thought it would be best to have him dead. Like that, he can't indict Donald Trump and all those billionaires and politicians that were involved in flying to Jeffrey Epstein's island. We have a pilot of Jeffrey Epstein that says that Donald Trump flew in Epstein's plane 34 times. That's not a whole lot, only 34 times. Because to Donald Trump's account, he only flew in it once or twice. That's why Donald Trump is indebted to Russia. That's why when the Russian president came to this country, Donald Trump rolled out the red carpet. He rolled out the red carpet for the Russian president midget. He was kissing his boots. Okay? Essentially, Jeffrey Epstein threatened him that if he didn't back off of this real estate transaction, he was going to be a whistleblower and tell the country that he was involved with all the sex trafficking going on. All right? That he was having sex with minors. 14-year-olds. 14-year-olds. This is the guy that was bankrupt 6 times. This is the guy who had a failed airline, a failed Trump University, who wrote dozens of books, all full of bullshit. Everybody who rendered Donald Trump a service or another never got paid. If a plumber went to his house to do plumbing work at Mar-a-Lago, they ended up doing it for free. They ended up suing. If you're a Republican and you watch this, you watch what's going on right now in this country, and I just explained to you a tip of the iceberg of Donald Trump's life. Are you still proud that you voted for him? Because if you said yes, then you have no morals. You're just as culpable because you voted him in to bankrupt this country, which is what is happening right now. You are irresponsible. You are complicit. And if you agree with Donald Trump, then you are also a racist, a sex trafficker, and you also have desires in having sex with little girls. That's right. Because there's no way you can vote him in and not agree on everything that he did. You can't say, for example, oh, that's just Donald Trump. This man is corrupt. He's sick. He's sick. His mental capacity is less than what Joe Biden had ever been. At least when he was in office, our country wasn't the way it was. But then again, Donald Trump is just following the steps in Project 2025 to completely deconstruct our government and corrupt it. Because you know what? I have videos of him saying that every time Democrats are in office, we have a good economy.
As a young guy, but I'm not so young anymore. And I've been around for a long time. And it just seems that the economy does better under the Democrats than the Republicans. Now, it shouldn't be that way. But if you go back, I mean, it just seems that the economy does better under the Democrats.
Well, it certainly did well under Clinton. Well, but I wouldn't suggest it was so great under Jimmy Carter.
That's true. That's true.
If you remember the interest rates.
No, I know. It's Jimmy Carter was not in the same thing. But certainly we had some very good economies under Democrats as well as Republicans. But we've had some pretty bad disaster under the Republicans.
And he didn't understand it. That when Republicans always came in office, They stole money. They corrupted. Every Republican has corrupted this government financially. The most job losses, the most cutbacks in health care. It goes on and on and on. But this time, it's different. You know why? Because they plan on staying in the White House. They don't want to leave. Donald Trump said it himself. Voting will never be needed or required again.
We want a landslide that's too big to rig. If you want to save America, get your friends, get your family, get everyone you know, and vote. Vote early, vote absentee, vote on election day. I don't care how, but you have to get out and vote. And again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed, it'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
That's what he said. That's what he said. Earlier this year, he made a call to Gavin Newsom. And according to Gavin Newsom, the call he had with Trump was not a good one. It was frightening. And I bet you it has something to do with that they're not going to leave the White House. Because, you know, right now Donald Trump is desperate. The Republicans are desperate. Because what's happening right now in our country is unprecedented. Everything has been rolled back. Civil rights, healthcare, the IRS, the Veterans Affairs, healthcare. Every structure we had, every program that we had has been undone. They want to go back to 1930s, the time of Jim Crow, okay? When African Americans had no rights, when Hispanics had no rights, where women couldn't vote and black people couldn't vote. They want to make it white again. Making it white again, okay? That's the country we live in right now. What the government is not telling you, that the press will touch base on it once in a while. They'll say, hey, this celebrity has moved out of the country. Rosie O'Donnell went back to her native country of Ireland to live. Or Richard Gere has moved to Spain. Some of it has to do because the country here is collapsing, okay? In Richard Gere's reasoning, his wife is native Spain, okay? So he's 50-50. His wife is from Spain, but yet he has no problem going also because this country is just in shambles. We could be facing a civil war if Donald Trump decides that he knows he's not going to, he knows, and MAGA Republicans know that if they have a fair voting, that they're never going to be coming back in the White House again. Okay.
Hey, you orange, bloated, gelatinous protuberance. Did you forget to read this fucking document?
And as a matter of fact, if voting does kick off and then they do leave, I recommend that they go through that White House, tear the whole house down, build a new White House, tear down the ballroom, tear down the whole White House and build a new one. Get rid of all that stench that was that's in that house right now, that smell, that stink, that evilness. Just clean it out. Just Clean it out. But you know where I'm going. And you can sense in my voice and in my demeanor that I am not for this. I am not for this. I have considered my own future and say to myself, do I want to be here in this country? In this country where we have ICE agents attacking innocent people, whether they're documented or whether they're not, it doesn't matter. Because if your skin is black or brown or yellow, to them, you need questioning. But first, they're going to throw you to the ground, put their knees on your neck, put you in cuffs, and hold you with no due process, with no reason at all, until they're satisfied to let you go. These are the people that Donald Trump has on his side. Every one of his cabinet members are crooked. Not a single decent human being there. I feel bad comparing them to human beings. They're not human beings, they're animals. They're liars, they're corrupt. Every single one of them are billionaires. Those are the people that he cares about, because we know that they're lining Donald Trump's pocket. He is worth now about 10 billion. He's a fucking grifter. He's a fucking grifter. So no, the shooter of Charlie Kirk was not the young man that they have in custody right now. The shooter was a hit by Donald Trump. It's that simple. We're not stupid. We're not stupid. I think I've said enough, maybe too much. But if you want to investigate or fact check what I talked about, hey, guess what, MAGA? It's free. Go do it. Look it up. And by the way, did you know that Charlie Kirk's wife was a contestant in a Donald Trump pageant? Oh yeah, that's public record. And her mother was involved with Donald Trump in some business ventures way before she got married to Charlie Kirk. Okay? Donald Trump eventually was threatened by Charlie Kirk. Okay? He was threatened by Charlie Kirk because Charlie Kirk wanted the Epstein files to be released unredacted. That means everything was supposed to be left in. But right now, they removed Trump's name and a lot of other political figures and billionaires' names that were involved with the sex trafficking. Yeah. So Donald Trump is protecting himself and his friends, okay, including Robert F. Kennedy. Robert F. Kennedy says, oh, I flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane a few times, but my family was on the plane too. Yeah, right, Robert. Right, Robert. Your family was on the plane too. I fucking doubt that very much, you little snitch. You little Jekyll and Hyde. That's what you are. You're a little Jekyll and Hyde. Yeah. This is like watching a bad episode of Batman and Robin, and you have all these evil people. You got the Joker, you have the Penguin, right? You got the Iceman. This is what the Trump administration look like right now. And you got all these Americans who are Republicans that voted for this shit. Now I have said enough. So don't forget, guys, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment or two, okay? And if you're new to my channel, I want to say thank you. Don't forget to subscribe. Have a nice weekend.
TikTok will probably take this down, so it might be my last post. Donald Trump is a disgusting, lying, scamming piece of shit. He is a fucking crook. He tried to screw my late husband. He has hurt 4 people I know personally. I will tell you all the stories if you want to know, but you probably don't. Anyway, he's a lying con artist. He used to go to the 21 Club and not pay them for lunch. Finally, the owner said to him, Donald, I mean, we're a business. We need you to pay. You should be glad that I'm here. This stupid asshole. He's a disgusting fucker. Deal with it. Those of you who like him, you have no idea what you really are dealing with here. He's a lying con artist and always has been.